Welcome back to Bless This Womanhood. I'm so grateful you're here with me today. Before we begin, I want you to pause for a moment. Take a deep breath, release the tension in your shoulders, unlench your jaw. Let yourself arrive in this moment. Today's conversation is one that I believe men, women need, especially in the world we live in today. Today, we are talking about something powerful, something many of us have misunderstood for years. Today's episode is called Softness is Not Weakness. I want to say that again. Softness is not weakness. For so many women, softness feels unsafe. Not because softness is wrong, but because life has taught us to survive. Some of us became strong because we had no choice. We became independent because no one showed up for us. We became guarded because trust was broken. We became emotional and available because vulnerability felt dangerous. We became hard because life was hard. And somehow, along the way, many women started believing a lie that softness makes you weak, that being gentle makes you naive, that resting makes you lazy, that asking for help makes you dependent, that tenderness makes you fragile. But I want to challenge that today because softness and weakness are not the same thing. In fact, true softness requires incredible strength. It takes strength to remain kind in a cruel world. It takes strength to stay gentle after being hurt. It takes strength to love after heartbreak. It takes strength to remain calm after disappointment. It takes strength to trust God when life has wounded you. Softness is not weakness. Softness is courage. Softness is emotional safety. Softness is surrender. Softness is peace. And I think so many women are exhausted because they've been living in survival mode for so long that softness feels unfamiliar. When I say survival mode, I want to pause there because I don't think we talk about this enough. Survival mode doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes survival mode looks being highly productive. Sometimes it looks like constantly staying busy, so you never have to sit with your thoughts. Sometimes it looks like always taking care of everyone else while ignoring our own needs. Sometimes it looks like laughing and smiling while silently feeling overwhelmed. And sometimes survival mode looks like control over your environment, control over your emotions, control over relationships, control over outcomes. Because somewhere deep down, control feels safer than surrender. For many women, survival mode began long before adulthood. Maybe it started in childhood. Maybe you grew up in an environment where you had to mature too quickly. And so you became the responsible one, the caretaker, the peacemaker, the one who learned how to read the room, the one who learned when people were upset before they even said it, the one who learned to adjust yourself to keep everyone comfortable. That kind of hyper-awareness doesn't disappear overnight. It becomes part of how you move through life. Even when you're in safe spaces, your body may still act like danger is near. That's why softness can feel uncomfortable, because softness requires safety. And your body has learned that the world is unsafe. Softness feels risky for you. To soften means lowering your guard. To soften means no longer preparing for attack. To soften means allowing yourself to be seen. And that can feel terrifying if being seen once led to pain. Maybe that's you. Maybe you don't even remember the last time you truly trusted. The last time you felt emotionally safe. The last time you allowed yourself to simply be without performing, without proving yourself, without carrying everything, without constantly preparing for something to go wrong. Men, women are tired, not just physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. They are tired of being the strong one, tired of holding everyone together. They are tired of carrying burdens nobody sees. They are tired of pretending everything is okay. And sometimes when you've had to be strong for so long, softness starts feeling uncomfortable, because survival teaches us hypervigilance. It teaches us control. It teaches us protection. It teaches us to stay ready, ready for disappointment, ready for betrayal, ready for abandonment, ready for bad news, ready for the worst. And that kind of living changes you. You stop relapsing. You stop trusting. You stop receiving. You stop resting. You become so used to carrying everything that laying down feels unnatural. I know this because I've lived it. There were seasons in my life when being soft felt impossible. I had been hurt, disappointed, wounded, trust broken. And I told myself that being guarded would protect me. I thought if I stayed in control, I wouldn't get hurt again. I thought if I anticipated every possible outcome, I could protect my heart. Yes, words may keep pain out, but they can also keep peace out. They can keep intimacy out. They can keep joy out. They can keep love out. And sometimes God has to gently teach us how to put our armor down. Not all at once, but little by little, layer by layer, healing by healing. You see, I think about Jesus. People often talk about his strength. And yes, he was a strong man. But his strength wasn't loud aggression. It wasn't domination. It wasn't hardness. His strength was rooted in peace, in gentleness, in compassion, in love. Jesus wept. Jesus showed tenderness. Jesus showed mercy. Jesus nurtured. Jesus restored. And yet, none of that made him weak. So why do we believe softness makes us weak? Some of us learned that from childhood. Maybe you were taught to stop crying, to toughen up, to move on, to stop being so sensitive. Maybe softness was mocked. Maybe vulnerability led to pain. So you adapted. You hardened. You became the strong one. And maybe people praise that strength. They tell you, you're so strong. You handle everything. You never break. But I want you to know that sometimes being called strong becomes a prison because now you feel like you always have to be okay. You feel guilty resting, guilty crying, guilty asking for help, guilty admitting weakness. But strength without softness becomes exhaustion. I also want to talk about rest because rest is one of the clearest expressions of softness. And yet, many women struggle to rest. Why? Because somewhere along the way, many of us connected rest with laziness. We feel guilty slowing down, guilty doing nothing. We feel guilty when we aren't producing. We feel guilty when we choose ourselves. But rest is not laziness. Rest is restoration. Even God rested on the seventh day, not because he was tired, but because rest is sacred and it is needed. Rest reminds us that our worth is not tied to productivity. You do not have to earn rest because you are allowed to rest. You are human. You are tired. Some women don't need another motivational speech telling them to work harder. They need permission to stop, permission to breathe, permission to sleep, permission to say, I cannot do everything, and that is okay. I also want to speak about softness in relationships because this is where many women struggle the most. It's hard to be soft when trust has been broken before. You've experienced betrayal, abandonment, heartbreak, or emotional neglect. You may unconsciously approach relationships with defense mechanisms. You may struggle to receive love. You may question genuine intentions. You may wait for the other shoe to drop. You may sabotage good things because pain feels more familiar than peace. And I want to gently say this. Peace can feel unfamiliar when chaos was your normal. Sometimes people think something is wrong simply because things feel calm. They confuse peace with boredom because their nervous system became addicted to survival. This is why healing includes retraining your mind and body to recognize safety. Learning that not every disagreement means abandonment. Learning that not every silence means rejection. Learning that not every delayed response means something is wrong. Self-love feels peaceful. And for some people, peace feels strange at first. But peace is not something to fear. Peace is something to embrace. Softness does not mean lacking boundaries. This is important because many women think being soft means saying yes to everything. But no, being soft does not mean abandoning yourself. Jesus was loving, but he had boundaries as well. Jesus was compassionate, but he walked away from crowds. Jesus cared deeply, but he still withdrew to rest. That actually teaches us something very powerful. It teaches us that love without boundaries becomes burnout. Compassion without boundaries becomes exhaustion. Kindness without wisdom becomes self-neglect. Boundaries are not rejection. Boundaries are stewardship. They protect our peace. They protect our energy. They protect our emotional health. Sometimes softness looks like saying, no, I can't do that. Nope, that doesn't work for me. Nope, I deserve better. That is not hardness. That is wisdom. I also want to talk about femininity, not the version the world sells us, but the healthy femininity. Healthy femininity is not weakness. It is strength expressed with grace. It is confidence without aggression. It is power without intimidation. It is leadership without losing tenderness. You can be powerful without becoming hard. You can be ambitious without becoming disconnected. You can be successful without abandoning softness. You can be strong and still cry. Strong and still need support. Strong and still need rest. Strong and still be gentle. Maybe that is the healing journey for many of us. Not becoming harder to survive, but becoming whole enough to soften again. That is real strength. Because anyone can build walls, but it takes courage to heal. It takes courage to trust. It takes courage to remain tender in a hard world. And I believe God honors that courage. Before we close today, I want to leave you with a few questions. What have you been carrying that God never asked you to carry alone? Where have you mistaken hardness for strength? What would softness look like in your life today? Would it look like rest, boundaries, prayer, asking for help, letting yourself cry, letting someone love you? Whatever softness looks like for you, I encourage you to embrace it. Not as a weakness, but as a healing. Not as fragility, but as strength. Before we end, I would like you to place your hand over your heart. Take a deep breath and repeat after me. I do not need hardness to be strong. I release survival mode. I welcome peace. I welcome softness. I welcome healing. I'm safe in God's hands. I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. And remember, softness is not weakness. It is strength wrapped in grace. Until next time, stay blessed, stay soft, and keep becoming. This is Bless This Womanhood.